I just opened bookings for my retreat in the south of France, which is the 7th to the 14th of June. So you can sign up on my website for that. I think you can see all of this here in this box. If you press the information, it will come up. And I also do some talks in Paris the first weekend of May, which is something like the 5th, 6th and 7th of May. It's bank holiday weekend, so you can look that up on my website as well. What else? Is that all the announcements? If you're new to live stream, then the way that you ask me questions is through Skype. My Skype address is in the box below, so just send me a friend request and you can ask me a question or phone in, but know that there's loads of people that call and want to speak and leave messages. So if I don't get around to you, if I leave you out, it's nothing personal. It's just the way it happens. So time. So you think, or your mind thinks, or the mind thinks, that this moment is a result of time. It also thinks that you are someone that's inside the body and that you, who you are, is moving through time. So you think that you're a separate entity that was born in 1965, is "52 years old and lives in the United States of America and likes pizza and works at a chemist and has 2 grown-up children and a wife and goes to work every morning, and that's who you think you are, and you think that's who's experiencing now. And you think that that person has gone through time, so has come from 1965 and is moving through time and has arrived in this present moment, and that you're carrying on in your journey in time, and the next moment is another piece of time, and the moment after that is another piece of time, and you keep accumulating these pieces of time until you die, and then you most probably go to heaven or something else happens to you. But what's your actual experience? Is your actual experience that you're moving through time, or is your actual experience that you're always in presence? You're always in this moment. 10 years ago it was this moment, 20 years ago it was a moment, yesterday it was this moment, tomorrow it's this moment. So is it actually that there is always this moment? What's happening? What is? And in that comes images of time. In that comes images of your past, your future, what you like, what you don't like. So has it ever been anything other than this moment? So your imagination looks back and imagines events and then thinks, yes, it's been other moments, because it connects other moments with sceneries, with people, with events, with different situations. But that's not actually what defines a different moment. That defines simply different sceneries and different memories and different objects in your imagination. But actually, what is this moment? This moment is what's actually happening. So your mind thinks of the objects, so it takes photos in your imagination. It thinks they are different moments and they're leading to this moment. But what is this moment? If you begin to look at this moment as a presence, as this consciousness and this sense of I am, then you begin to realize that this moment never moves. This consciousness didn't come and go. This alive presence didn't come and go. The sense of being is always here and always still. And in that came your imagination of past and future events, of things, of different sceneries, of different views, of different things that are happening. So when did this moment end, really? You think of moments ending when sceneries change, so when you walk from one room to another, or you drive from one place to the next. But when does the moment end? When does one moment start and another moment begin? So you might imagine, okay, it's when I go to sleep at night and when I wake up in the morning. But is that your actual experience, or is it one never-ending moment? This presence, this alive consciousness, and this sense of I am, this sense of being, that you are, this is. Now this is really important to see, because it's important to see that this is your altar, this is everything that's important, what's happening, not your timeline, not what you imagine. The person gets so involved with itself and the story of itself, the story of it going through its day, what it's done, what it's going to do, its story of its life. And there has to be this shift where the most important thing becomes what's happening, this conscious presence, this sense of I am, and this empty looking. And the person kind of goes more into the background, the person becomes less important. That timeline is more about a functioning rather than a reality which is lived through. Most people live through this reality of themselves, and if you notice, all your problems are based on yourself. Your problems don't exist without time. In this moment, where are your problems? So say if you've got a terrible relationship or you lost your job, where is the problem right here? Yes, there's problems in time that might need to be addressed, but where is your problem right here in what's happening? And this is where freedom is remembering this, that in every instant there's never a problem. There's this alive presence, and yes, the human can have human problems, but they're secondary to this. And it really takes courage to surrender to this. So all your actions are coming from this rather than your timeline. You can update your thinking by putting information in about future events, past events, but this becomes the timeline. So a feeling, a thought, an idea arises, and this is what's happening. This is what's happening. And this is like the breath of fresh air. This is like the clean slate. Because who has problems here? Who's affected here? Who suffers here? And you see that there's nobody that suffers. There's no one with problems. There's this innocence expressing itself. And there becomes a real trust in that. A real trust in that being your God. But you have to be so brave for this. This isn't something I can do for you or anyone can do for you. This is an absolute surrender to what's happening. Absolute surrender. In every moment, whatever's happening, prepared to give up to this, to give it back, to really dive into the uncomfortable feelings of what's happening and to stay here in this. This is all you need to do repetitively, is just come back to this. On the human level, if you still feel like you're there, then you just rest your attention back in the present moment, in the I am and the consciousness. And then eventually that shift will happen. But it's not your doing, because you don't exist. It's something that happens as the person begins to relax back into this. But it's not belonging to you. You don't make that happen. As the person becomes less neurotic and less caught up on itself and less hiding in time, getting lost in time, And it's being prepared to be absolutely yourself, no matter what that looks like. If that looks like anger or love or lust, sexuality, joy, happiness, sadness, tears, frustration, whatever it is, it's not an attempt to be enlightened, it's being absolutely committed to what's appearing now, here, because this is all there is, this is all there ever is. And as this is really seen, then there's an absolute dissolving into this. It's beautiful. And then there's no longer a person experience, but there's simply what is. And the person appears and disappears as it's needed. It doesn't become, it's no longer the center stage. It's no longer the main show. It's a practicality. So who are you? Who is the person that's looking at me now, that's hearing me now? See that there's nobody there. And when suffering arises and when you arise, keep putting your attention back in what's happening, in what you feel. Don't run away to try to escape it in time. You can work it out slightly. You can understand your psychology. You can understand why you're doing that, but then come back repetitively to what's actually happening. This is your God, what is. And if there's a burning sensation of powerlessness or frustration or hatred, put the attention there on the human level. And then there's the relaxing of the human, and as the person relaxes, then there's the possibility for something much bigger than the person. And you begin to see that you aren't experiencing this, that there's nothing, there's boundlessness experiencing this, there's infinite presence experiencing this. Okay, now take some questions.